I feel like I ask this question every transfer window, or at least for the last few. What's the update on Jadon Sancho?
Yeah, slight update in the last 24 hours, and that's because Borussia Dortmund, a team that he knows very well, having joined Manchester United for 73 million from Borussia Dortmund back in 2021, are interested in taking him on loan again. Now, he did go on loan to Dortmund at the back half of the 23-24 season. Got to the Champions League final, someone who they absolutely love out in Germany. He's played some of his best football for Borussia Dortmund. We know that Chelsea didn't activate that option to buy him from Manchester United, but of course there is still interest. We know that there's interest from Serie A as well. Juventus are very keen, one of the Milan clubs like him, but of course they may just struggle with doing his wages. He's a very well-paid player at Manchester United. He's got 1 year left. Manchester United may have to do a little bit of the heavy lifting with regards to his wages to facilitate a potential loan deal. Their preference is to try and let him go permanently. But of course, it's just about the best offer on the table that they feel, right, that's the one we want to accept. Is Jadon Sancho happy to go to Borussia Dortmund or to go to Italy? That'll be his choice. But there are teams that are interested. But it's all about one thing and one thing only, which is how we started this show. The money.
The moolah.
The money. The big bucks.
United had held internal conversations to whittle down a shortlist that had 3 leading names on it, maybe the last time we spoke, in Ollie Watkins, Benjamin Sesko and Nicholas Jackson. About 7 days ago, they decided that Jackson doesn't look feasible. And I think the only thing that would change that is if Chelsea come calling for Alejandro Garnacho, which is not beyond the realms of possibility, but also that Jackson price drops and significantly. So nothing active there. And that leaves 2, Benjamin Sesko and Ollie Watkins. Last week, again, talks were held with the Watkins side and with Aston Villa, even though some Villa sources tried to downplay it. And Manchester United asked the question and were told 60 million and a Villa preference to keep. So now, if Villa got a replacement or that price was to drop, Manchester United might go in that direction. Otherwise, Benjamin Sesko is still on the radar. Remember, 12 months ago, Manchester United made a pitch. Sesko decided to stay at Leipzig. Arsenal and Chelsea were there at that point. Now the Sesko deal is going to come down to whether the price drops, because Leipzig still want in excess of 80 million euros. Manchester United's valuation is much closer to 70 million euros. And as you say, there's also this possibility that Newcastle get that deal over the line too. And if Manchester United want Sesko, they're going to have to be quicker than for Ollie Watkins, because Newcastle are advanced on the player side. They're in club-to-club talks. They're ready to bid. Manchester United is still having an internal debate and conversation. And as a consequence, that outreach for both Watkins and Sesko is still formative. But I get the impression this is a big week in the pursuit of a number 9, because if it's Sesko, Manchester United are going to have to get moving. If we hear a bit of a lull, it probably means they're looking for proven Premier League experience and they genuinely believe that Watkins might become available. But right now, there's more clarity to the picture. Sesko and Watkins are the 2 names that Manchester United are actively working on.
Well, we'll get into the between us amongst the studio. We'll get into the actual options that we've got in terms of Watkins and Sesko and who we might prefer. Flex, I'm just going to chuck over to you here, though. We talk about those internal discussions about bringing this, elusive number 9 in. Is there a realm? I'm going to pivot here. Is there a realm where Højlund, from what we've seen so far, can he muscle his way into this squad and can he still be an option, or do you consider a striker to come through the door pivotal?
No, I think a striker is definitely pivotal. I think, from what we've seen from the media and a few on the ground here, Manchester United are looking for a number 9. Fact. That is what is happening. So I think the feeling is that, Ruben has seen that position as somewhere that needs to be strengthened. And I think that's the right thing amongst other things. I think Rasmus Højlund was thrown into the deep end really early in his career. Of course, no real choice over or control over the price tag on which he came to us for. And after the first season, I think he actually looked all right. I think there was a large portion of us that was like, okay, this kid's quite raw, but there's something to work with. I don't think we envisioned a season quite like this in the last season, not just for the team, but specifically for him. Because you don't go from looking, decent in the first season, 16 goals, you think there's more work to be done, to all of a sudden, it's one of the worst signs. Something's gone wrong in between, which of course we finished 15th and look at what happened to the whole team. So I do feel it for him a little bit there, but I still understand that Manchester United should have somebody more experienced or of a higher level in that situation, either to help him to learn off or of course to play instead. So I think we definitely need a striker for sure. I think we scored 44 goals last season, which is just a ridiculously poor return for us. So for me, yes, absolutely right. We need to be looking for a striker. Benjamin Sesko and Watkins, I like the links. We'll talk more about those individually, but just on Rasmus Højlund, I think he's struggled so much. His confidence is shot. He's got nobody to learn off. He's got no support. And I think it's the right move to look for number 9 for sure.
Yeah, oh no, fair. For the record, I agree with you. Just picking up on something you said there, Flex, and actually I think the viewers will want to hear about this as well, Ben, is Watkins. We're hearing the name float around a bit. How credible is this? How advanced are these talks? Is this actually a possibility? Is it on the table that Man United have an opportunity to sign Ollie Watkins or at least in for him? Concrete?
It's concrete for sure. They held initial talks last week. It all kind of depends on Aston Villa. First of all, they'd have to find a replacement. Second of all, the valuation would need to be met. My understanding is that Watkins is very open to Manchester United, but Villa will have a big say in all of this. And we have to respect the position as of now, which is that Ollie Watkins isn't for sale. But you may remember Alexander Isak has not been for sale for basically the last 6 months. And at the end of the window, is he going to stay or go? We don't know. The door is certainly open for Liverpool. It's the same kind of situation where if the stars align and Villa either have their valuation met or alternatively bring in a replacement, not for sale might not mean not for sale. And I think Manchester United are still relatively optimistic that at the right number and with the right set of circumstances, Watkins may become a concrete possibility. They just have to be a little bit patient, potentially. Some sources, even close to Villa, hint that an offer in excess of 50 million rather than 60 might stand a realistic chance as well, especially if the player drives a move away in any capacity. So Watkins and Manchester United remains one to watch. And it's fascinating debate because if they're looking for long-term value, if they're leaning on the experience and view of Christopher Vivell, who knows Sesko very well, they're going to go down the route of a big outlay for a longer-term investment. But if we look at Brian Mbeumo, Matheus Cunha and now Watkins, they're 3 proven Premier League players that can make an instant impact. And it may be that they pivot because I sense Ruben Amorim is saying, let's just get players for the now. Let's find players that can instantly have an impact. Let's get in starters who have proven statistical, consistent records, meaning if those 3 combine, and remember, Watkins already has a
Marcus Rashford completes loan move to Barcelona from Man United as Red Devils outcast bids for career kickstart after being frozen out by Ruben Amorim. Marcus Rashford has said it will be a joy to play for Barcelona and feels like he is at home after completing a season-long loan move from Manchester United. While Barcelona have initially completed a loan move for Rashford, who had spoken openly about his desire to join the club, the Spanish Giants have an option to make the move permanent next summer. Barcelona announced the move with Rashford standing inside an iconic red telephone box picking up the phone during an unveiling video, with the forward saying, "Yeah, you can tell them now, it's official." After leaving the telephone box, Rashford said, "Let's do this, Visca el Barca." Speaking at his unveiling as a Barcelona player, Rashford expressed his excitement at signing for the Spanish Giants and said it will be a joy to play for the club. "I am very excited. I think it's a club where people's dreams come true," Rashford said. "What the club stands for means a lot to me as well, and it feels like I'm at home, and this is a big factor in my choice. It's a family club, people are comfortable here, and it's a good place for people to show their skills. I try to make decisive actions and fast dynamic plays, and I always like good football, so I've always been a fan of watching Barcelona from a young age. It's going to be a joy for me to play here, and I'm going to enjoy every minute of it." Barcelona confirmed broad details of the agreement on their website. FC Barcelona and Manchester United have reached an agreement for the loan of the player Marcus Rashford until June 30, 2026, a Barcelona statement read. The agreement also establishes an option to buy the English forward. The player have signed his contract as a Barça player this afternoon at a private meeting in the presence of the FC Barcelona president, Joan Laporta, the director of the football area, and other board members. Rashford is understood to have taken 15% pay cut from his €315,000 a week Man United wage to join Barcelona. Barcelona's option to buy him next summer is understood to be €30 million. Rashford, 27, returned to Old Trafford at the end of last season after an impressive loan spell at Aston Villa during the second half of the campaign. He scored 3 goals and contributed 4 assists across all competitions as Unai Emery's side reached the Champions League quarter-finals. However, his Villa Park form was not enough to convince United boss Ruben Amorim to give him a second chance, with the Portuguese eager to move the England international on this summer. Rashford made up part of Amorim's bomb squad, a select group of United exiles with no future in the manager's first-team plans. Members of the bomb squad have been told to conduct pre-season training alone at United's Carrington base, only when Amorim is not there. Rashford's United predicament marked an alarming downfall from the sprightly 18-year-old who burst onto the scene by scoring twice on his Premier League debut against Arsenal in February 2016, when he was just 18. That saw him tipped for stardom, although he has yet to maintain the consistency required to be considered among the top players in the world. While he was a regular fixture in former England manager Gareth Southgate's sides as an integral part of 3 Lions' run to the World Cup semi-finals in 2018 and the final of Euro 2020, he has fallen out of favour since Thomas Tuchel's arrival. With the 2026 World Cup on the horizon, Rashford will be hoping for a fresh start as he looks to secure his spot on the plane to North America next summer. A new environment may also bring the best out of the forward, after he spoke out in April 2024 having been subjected to months of abuse. A post on X, formerly Twitter, read: "The way Marcus Rashford is being treated is absolutely disgusting. It's cruel. It's abuse." Rashford responded by saying, "I appreciate your support. It is abuse and has been for months. Enough is enough." He will join a Barcelona side hoping to defend their La Liga title they won in German coach Hansi Flick's first season at the club.